There are no oceans deeper than the vacuum in the hearts of someone longing for a missing loved one. Every year in Belize, dozens of people go missing. Fortunately, some return safe and sound. Others are discovered long after they took their last breath. And then there are those who simply have an asterisk next to their name. No clues, no evidence, no leads to solve their disappearances. I am retired Lieutenant Colonel George Lovell, and this is Missing. Tonight, we zero in on the missing case of Kimberly Wade, a mother, daughter, and friend who simply vanished on January 20th, 2020. Her sister visited us and told us about her family.
My name is Antoinette Foreman. I'm her fourth youngest sister. I'm 32 years old. I grew up in PG from I was about 6 or 7 years old. And then we came to Belize, started primary school. After primary school, went back. My dad and my mom split, and then we went back to PG, did high school, and then eventually I moved on to Belize where my dad was. Kimberly was a humble person. She had no problem with anyone. She didn't drink, she didn't smoke, she wasn't a party type, very humble. Anything you ask her to do, she's willing to help and willing to do. And she was a calm person. I was mostly closely with her because then she lived here in Belize City, in the area of Penn Road, years ago. And I was always the one visiting her because I lived here in Belize. The rest of my siblings, they live in PG at the time. So I was always the one around her, helping her with the kids, picking them up from school, helping her, visiting her often and stuff like that.
The close-knit sisters both left PG to live in Belize City in pursuit of better opportunities, and Kimberly met her first love.
She was at PG at the time, and then she came up here to find a job when she was about 18 or 19 years, going on to 20, to find a job. And then she met Andrew Castillo through my cousin Keisha Chavaria, because they were going to school, I think, at the time. And that's how she met Andrew Castillo, and from there it was history with the both of them. Well, they weren't at the time married. It was her common law. She had a lot of problems with mainly her mother-in-law, maybe a few of her sister-in-laws. They had a little bit of argument here and there. Sometimes, I guess she was so stressed out that at times she would lash out on some of them. I guess due to the, I don't know, I don't really know exactly what was going on in the relationship because I went around them. Because at the time they lived in Cayo, so I went around to know exactly what was going on. But from what my niece told me, that they always back and forth quarrels and stuff like that, and eventually she left the relationship.
While Kimberly started building a family of her own with her partner, her sister recalls her having frequent confrontations with her partner's relatives, which caused the relationship to end.
When she left her common-law husband, she went to live with my mom in PG because she had nowhere else to go, nobody else to turn to. Everything was just so rough at the moment. And the best place for her to be was with my mother. So at that time, the father kept the children, didn't want her to take the kids with her. The only child she had with her was Brandon. That's the youngest boy. She took Brandon to PG with her. They lived, him and my mom and her lived for a while together till the father could take over him. So now the father has Brandon. It affected her emotionally and mentally. I guess that's why she lashed out so many times and got a bit depressed. And it turned into, well, what they call it, mental issues or something like that. But to me, from what I saw, she was basically fine, but still a bit depressed, but not to the state that you would see going crazy, stuff like that.
The end of the relationship caused Kimberly considerable emotional distress. That was made worse since she had to relocate back to PG. And she lost custody of all but one of her children.
Kimberly was living with my aunt, Andrea Chavarria in PG, and my mom, Anita Chavarria. They had no quarrels, no fight, anything. At the moment when she went missing, she told my mom she was going to take a bath. And in PG, they don't have an inside bathroom. They have a latrine and an outside bathroom in the back of the yard. So she told my mom she was going to take a bath. So now my mom and my aunt, they realized you know what, Kim is taking too long at the bathroom. Where is she? At this time, it was about 5 o'clock, 6 in the evening. So my mom decided to go and check and see where Kimberly was, but by the time she went outside, there was no sight of her. All she saw, she said, was her slippers in the yard. She said someone dragged her. And there was no sight of her from ever since. It's like a mystery and that nobody can solve.
Kimberly tried her best to settle in and adjust to an entire new reality, living with her mom and aunt in PG. On Kimberly's birthday, a day that was to be special and festive, she stepped out of the house to take a bath, as was normal, but she was never seen again.
But the only thing I know I hear the evening was a vehicle that someone bawled, "Ma," one time, and then the vehicle door shut. But we didn't come out and check because she wasn't a person leave us and go on the street or go anywhere without us.
When my mom and my aunt realized that Kimberly was missing, they went searching everywhere, all the neighbors, asking the neighbors, checking the yard, the bushes. No one saw her. So they called the police. The next day, the police came. They weren't on time, but they came, they did a search. They said, no sight of Kimberly. Nobody saw anything, nobody hear anything. It was just strange. Yeah, it's about 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the evening, just coming on tonight. Nobody saw anything. It's strange.
Kimberly's family immediately launched an aggressive search for her in the immediate area. They even called the police, but there was no trace of her.
The search didn't last very long. Me, myself, and her oldest daughter, we went the next day after about 3 days after she was missing. We went to PG to conduct a search for her, also along with my cousin Sheldon Duncan, Esme Duncan, and my aunts. We all went on a search. We found nothing. Another thing was people were saying that she was in the border, that somebody held her hostage. A lady called them and tell them they know who have Kimberly, and they rushed to the border to look for her, and by the time they reached there, the person looked totally different from my sister. So, well, in the area that she lived, there's not a well, there's not a river, there's just bushes behind the yard. My cousin Sheldon, when he went on the search, because he's a male, so he went in the bushes with machete, everything. Nobody, no sight of Kimberly.
The family stepped up and assembled a larger search party and received multiple tips, but nothing materialized.
What my aunt told me, a bit in the day, she was worried about Kiki. She kept on saying, Kiki, Kiki. Well, she's in a state of depression, so, and then Kiki had been taken away from her, and that was the only thing she had to hold on to, the only child she had to hold on to, and she felt loved and everything while she was around. So when they took away Kiki, it's like everything crushed down. She just break down then, you know, and she's not the type to say would try and hurt herself or kill herself or stuff like that. So her being missing, I still don't understand.
We asked Antoinette to reflect on the last day Kimberly was seen, to try to recall if anything was bothering her, and she shared this.
At this moment, we are confused, we're lost. I mean, it's been so many years and, well, not so many years, a whole year. And we can't get any closure. We don't know where my sister is. Nobody saw anything, nobody hear anything. Somebody have to say something. Somebody have to hear something. To be honest, I don't think she's dead. I don't think she's dead because the other night I had a dream about, I guess a couple months after she went missing, I had a dream. And in my dream, it was like I heard somebody came to my house hollering, because actually she calls me Annie. So I heard someone hollering, shouting outside my house, Ann, they find me. And in my dream, I was like, Kim, what pan they find you? And she was like, the mommy bring me. But then she not tell me what part she made. So to my mind, no, I don't think she did. I think somebody have her, and then I want to let she go. She's a bit scared to come back because she and my mom, they used to quarrel. You know, they would have a little quarrel now and again because sometimes my mom would be a little bit hard on her, you know. And then she don't know somebody where like that. It would just make her angry. And I think probably she just, if that's the case, I think she just went. But where? Who took her?
Kimberly's family believes deep down that she is still alive out there. In fact, they insist. Antoinette ended our sit-down with a message for anyone that may have their loved one held, and also with a message for Kimberly in the event she sees this show.
Well, I would like to see anybody has my sister Kimberly Wade out there. If you're looking at this, if you're seeing this at this moment, please send her home, bring her home, or take her to the police station. Her kids need her. The family needs her. We need her back. Or we need some kind of closure. Come out, say something. My number is 630-9487. If you want to call me and if you have her and you want to call me, feel free to call me, no problem. But please, if you have her, bring her home. If you're out there, if somebody's holding you against your will and you're seeing this, please come home. Your kids ain't worried about you. They don't might live with you, but they're stressed. They're very stressed. And we need you back home, Kim. We need you back home.
We join the Wade family in asking, if anyone has any information, please come forward. This family, especially Kimberly's children, are being antagonized by Kimberly's disappearance. Reuniting with their mother would be the greatest gift ever. And even if that is not possible, finding out where her body may be would bring closure. And that's the second best gift. We will break now for our first commercial break, and we'll be right back. Good night and welcome back to Missing. So far, Missing has highlighted the stories of around a dozen families. with every one of them longing for closure. We plan to conclude season 1 of Missing with the sensational story of Anisha Young. Before we bring you that episode, we wish to conclude tonight's show with a short recap of the cases we have covered to date. Devon Lopez resided in Belama with his mother and would spend time at his girlfriend's house frequently. It was unlike him to spend time anywhere else. And so, when the girlfriend could not account for him, his mother became worried immediately.
He went to school right up here in Buttonwood Bay Primary School. And the last time I saw him was a Sunday. He was sitting on a car in front of my yard. I peep out because at the same time the police they may come, may pass through just to make the patrol, and they stop and ask him basic questions, you know, and ask him for a search. And he come out. I peep out and I see that immediately and the police in search, and they take a picture of and they gone. The Monday when I left for Ghana work, I never see him. So I said, well, he must have at his girlfriend's house. That is 2nd of December. When so I said, well, maybe he did at his girlfriend because I don't see him Monday. I said, well, that day because usually if they're not my house, they're by her house, right? And the Friday evening when I come from work, I get home and like after 5 or so in the evening, in the late evening, she come to me. But I don't know the young lady like that. He just get with this young lady, and she come to me and as for me, Devon Ma. So I come out of my house, and then she said, I can't check see if Devon the home is, cause I know here for Monday. I know here for Monday. So I tell she like this, I said, but how you know here for? He from Monday, and that your boyfriend, where you say that your boyfriend, if you know here for now 2 days or so, you should have done go check for him. Like that I utter to she. He said, well, I just to tell you so because she going to make a report, she going to see if they did a station or so. So I tell her, left it, I going. I the mother, I going. So I gone to the police station in Belama and make a formal report about it. The police they do the investigation, and that's about it. Well, me and my family, my brother, I have my brother, and some of my family members, my sisters, some of my close friends. We gathered together from the very day I heard that he went missing. We look everywhere. I look like 3 months non-stop. Just keep looking. We look in the Belize Wall River because we get a call that they have buried about in the Wall River, and we went and look. We went to 8 miles. We went this whole road. Philip Golson. We went the whole road through Boom, come back through 8 miles and come this way. We find nothing. Anybody out there that knows anything about my son Devon's disappearance, could you please, you don't have to call me, you could just send me a note. You don't have to be on Facebook or anything, just a note with somebody, just so that I can get closure. I don't know why it happened or how it happened, but in my heart, I forgive you. I forgive anybody who or what they did to him.
Our second missing case for today is the story of another young man from Belize City, Joshua Roches. Joshua was described as outgoing, friendly, and skilled with his hands. His mother and other family members have been deeply affected by his disappearance, which occurred over a decade ago.
My name is Joseph Dunes. My mother have 7 away, but right now one of them missing You know, I have 5 brothers, 1 sister from my side, and 2 brothers, 1 sister from my past side. That's my lead brother. Grew up, which you think born across all like all the way, but he grew up in Belize City, gone to school here, and then I believe I thought they get carried away. I actually got to school at Queen Jude Baptist. I graduated from there, and when I know the man to do the thing on the side, because I'm like a handyman, like the man that can fix chair, paint, you know, put up laybacks and everything. Because he never really want to go to high school, so they may start a vocational, but they never really finished because of it. He get tangled up, like what I mentioned, with the wrong crowd. He left a girlfriend to go and meet some friends. And the way I get the story is that apparently they were going for some move per se, some kind of move, some kind of jacking or robbing or something to that effect. And apparently, the way I get to understand is that when they go on this move, they never jack nobody. They never actually take you out. You weren't friends there. I believe they say for some real business or something to that effect. I still really understand our transfer between here and Virginia. Yeah, well, right away then, you know, I call Chester, I call the police. We get some search party, we go up on the road, you know. Then we start do for you one thing. Then we start hear that stories about the man get they cut up and put in a bucket or in a barrier, that hollow over a bridge or something to that effect. Trying to septic tank, that kind of thing. Hold the past story.
Everybody will plot for kill Yashua. I guess most of them now passed away. But there are still few of them who are still alive. I keep on asking them, and I forgive them if they don't. I forgive them. I forgive all of them. All I want, any one of them who is alive, who had partaken in my child disappearance, to come to me. Because I know they have ma like me. All and the boys born for my mother. And I know all of we try, see to it, that we raise them right.
To be honest with you, I don't want to see my brother come home. You know, I care how long it takes, how much years pass, I still want to see him come home one another day. You know, or give an answer, give a closure that he's dead or he's alive. You know, to make sure that, all right, he's dead, he's dead. Make we get time, make we bury him. If he's alive, make it come home. You understand? Because we still here to wait for him.
If we were to locate Yasha, he will live for weight off our shoulder then. Because all these days we carry this burden, we carry this weight. And I will wait for one day, somebody call and say, the man there or the man there. And then I believe Mama, then for the Mama to get back to start a score, get back to the passion, because at times she sees a trip on him. But if we get a call and say, yo, the man parts, the body there, or whatever they happen, you know, I know for a fact the family were overwhelmed with even grief, but joy as well, because listen to me, now we know part Yashua. You know, we don't find and we put that everlasting rest in place.
Please, somebody just can't tell me where Yashua body is. Because all we want is now to pick up and give him a proper burial so I could know where he is. Because not knowing where he is, it's painful. And I have lived with this 12 to 13 years.
24-year-old Dwayne Young was enjoying a turn for the better in his life. He was 1 week into a steady job, had a partner, and was looking forward to building a comfortable life, until he and that hope for a better life simply vanished without a trace.
The oldest sister of Dwayne Young. And I was partly like the second mother to my siblings. There were 9 of us. He was like the 5th child. Well, Dwayne Young was a quiet person. He wasn't the type of person like outgoing or, want to be in the spotlight or, want to be seen or loud. He was like reserved, laid back. If you don't talk to him, he won't say anything. He wasn't like someone who will put himself out there to be in trouble or, misunderstanding. He was loving. He was loving to all of us, was there for all of us. He was, someone you could always call upon, no care what, good or bad, anything you need him to do for you, he would be there. So Dwayne was about 8, 9 when my mom moved from Jane Ocean, went to live in Los Lagos, and she transferred him to Lady Afforway Primary School in Ladyville. He went to school there from standard 2 to standard 6. After he graduated from standard 6, he didn't want to go to college because he was this type of person not really into books or want to nothing to do with paper, books or thing like that. He were more good with his hands, fixing stuff for people or, just catch and kill, do little things, He was lucky that someone told him about a vacancy they had at the medical center at the boom cutoff. At that time, they needed a groundskeeper, and he knew that, he can handle the job. He went for an interview. He collected all the information they wanted, his passport pictures and police record and everything, and he took it. They accepted him, they gave him the job, they gave him the opportunity. And he was working like 1 week good there. On his second week, he went to work as usual, 6:30 in the morning. Reached there, did his usual job. By midday, when it was lunch break, he left to go home to have lunch. And usually he has lunch at his, at that time, girlfriend's house, which wasn't that far from the boom cutoff. That was like in between the cutoff and Los Lagos Junction. He went there to have lunch. When he went there to have lunch, it was like he didn't expect to encounter what he encountered when he went to his girlfriend's house to have lunch. When he got there, he met an unknown male person at his girlfriend's residence. It was kind of probably awkward for him, and she and him had a little talk, nothing like hard talk or nothing according to her. And the male person guessed like he get aggravated that he saw my brother there. So the male person start, hard talk and say what he have to say. According to the girlfriend, my brother didn't see anything. All he did was just like watch she and walk away. When he walked away, according to her, she saw when he left, heading towards Los Lagos, meaning that he was going to my mom's. Moments after, she said that the gentleman, the male person, was leaving her home. When he came out, he saw his vehicle windshield broke, and he assumed that my brother did it, which is there were other people out there, or probably it was already shuttered, because he would never do something like that. He is the type of person who will just walk away. She said my brother wasn't that far away from the house when the male person came out, and the male person shouted at my brother, "You will see what I will do to you." She said my brother didn't see anything, he just continued to walk away. And from then, my brother didn't even reach my mother's house. And he disappeared right there.
This family's unfortunate roller coaster of emotions ranged from grief to despair. And yet, all they want is closure. Fanina shared with us her lingering emotions and a message to those who were involved with her brother's still unsolved disappearance.
He was not a fighter. And I knew whatever they did to him, he didn't fight. And that what hurt me. Because I remember growing up as siblings together, and my brother will get in any neighborhood squabble or any argument with other kids in the neighborhood, I would be the one to fight for him. I would be the one to throw a hand and squabble and punch. He would just come home and cry. And it hurts me knowing I wasn't there to fight for him, and know they chanced him is what really gets me angry sometimes, because they chanced him out of his life. He didn't fight. Most family members of missing person would say that they forgive the person or persons who hurt their loved one. At this point, I can't say I forgive them. Some people say, oh, they decided to be God. No, they decided to be the devil and take his life. At this point, we don't care who they are or who they are or what they did to my brother. All I want is them to be man enough to at least have the decency know that years have passed. And if you want to ease your conscience, say something, send a text, or even write a letter and left it somewhere so that we can know where he is. We just want to bury our brother.
Erin Linares was a loving son and a popular bartender in San Pedro. He was the pride of his mom and a joy to be around.
I am Rosemary Linares. I live in San Pedro. I have 5 sons, 1 missing. Erin Linares is my second son. Erin was a very friendly person. Erin always been working. I raised my sons as a single mother. My sons start working from they were very young. They go to school in the day and they work in the night. I remember sometimes when I wake up in the morning, like a bunch of flowers in water will be right by my bedside on my bedside table. I remember sometimes I go to town to do pay bills or shopping. Or when I come from town, I would find flowers on my pillow.
Erin relocated to Benke with his wife, and they had a son together. He started working out west, but it was not nearly as fruitful as it was working in San Pedro. And so he decided to try something different. But that came with problems.
So he came back to San Pedro just to work, but send home his money. And his wife started to see someone else. And then that's when he gets heartbroken. Because he was working in San Pedro and sending all his money, and then he used to go home on his day off. So he works a month, then he go for a week home, or 5 days, 4 days. And then when his wife started like that, things start to be different in their life. He's sorry he left Benke and went to San Pedro, and so he decided to go back to Benke again, but it was kind of late because she didn't give up. He moved back to Benke and started to work around there again, but things never did work out. And then she became pregnant, and then, she told him that because he was still in the house, he didn't come out of the house. And then she tell him that that it's not healthy for him because her pregnancy was growing and growing, and he needs to go. She tell him he needs to go. And that's when he was he started to put on a drinking. And he used to talk to me and tell me what's happening, so I used to tell him, well, come home. You know what else I could tell him? I tell him, come home.
Rose did not simply sympathize with her son. She encouraged him to enroll in an alcohol rehabilitation program and even volunteered to be there with him to help him settle in.
I used to talk to him and I tell him drinking is not a life. I tell him, you look good, you have a good qualification. You don't need to bring down yourself. You see, she's happy. I tell him, you could find somebody else and move on your life. I used to tell him that we could go to rehabilitation where they have the San Pedro for Alcoholic Anonymous, and then he says he's shame. And I tell him, you don't need to shame. That for you, I tell him if I have to go with you and sit down at a meeting, I don't mind. I could go with you every day, every evening for your meeting, I could go with you because I want it for you.
His mother accompanied him from San Pedro to Belize City to the church where he was picked up by Remar and transported to Bullet Tree. He was optimistic and sounded happy, and his mother was relieved. But just one day later, things took a drastic turn.
they tell me that, like the place is filthy, this, that, and I tell him, tomorrow morning, just go, I want to get you. I want to come up and get you, I tell him. And I cry me and he talk and he said, no cry, man, no cry, I want to be okay, no cry. It's scary back here, man. It's scary. That's the first day. The second day, everything was good. Everybody was friendly. Everybody, like, he likes the place and he wants to stay there, to let me give him a couple of days to let me see, because from that day, I want him come back, and then he said, no, man, no come. He said, I want to give it a try. I want to give it a try. I need it, ma. That's for me. That's for my best. I want to give it one try. They told me that he said he was going to the bathroom. And then he went to the bathroom and they were waiting. They saw half an hour pass, and they didn't see him. And then when they checked at the bathroom, no one was there. And then they started to check around the place. And they said they checked around the place, and they started to look around. And that was when he just left. They started to check all around, drive around, checking around, and they didn't find him. I was up in the area like a month and a half, searching and searching every day. Every day we were out looking. We searched the entire area of Bullet Tree. We went to all the villages throughout in Bullet Tree. Every villages, every area. We put it on Belize Buy and Sell, and right there we get an answer, and then it was one of the Balam. She messaged us and says, Miss Rose, he said, we saw your son. He said he was around here, and then right there we started to get more information from her. We started to message her and find out, and she gave us her address, and we went to her home, and she started to tell us that Erin was around this area. She told us, she said.
Well, yeah, like usually I open the door like in the morning to brush my teeth, and I got some water and I get my toothbrush and everything, and I went out. When I was brushing my teeth, I see this man underpants, and I got frightened. I shout, but he told me, be quiet, I just want water. And in that time, but I shouted. My mom went running, my brother went running too, and he told him, what are you doing here? Where are you going? What happened to you? But he was like trembling, or he was like shocked, like something went wrong, or I remember his eyes was red and he was like, nothing, I just want water. We give him water, then he went down. We don't know what happened, no more there from him.
I still have a lot of sleepless nights sometimes sometimes it comes on me really hard. Especially when I talk to his little son, like, because he's smart, because he tells me, say, Grandma, so you won't get any answers of my dad? And when he talks like that to me, he said, Grandma, I want to know something, Grandma. I want to know something about my dad. Somebody out there knows something. And then, like it builds me all over. What I would like to know, if there's anyone out there who knows anything that can bring us to a closure, I would like them to come out and say something, because that what they would do for us, it would help me and my family. It would take away that pain that we are living with. Because it's really hard to be living and not knowing or getting a closure of where he is. I know someone is out there who knows something. And all we need is just the answer, We just want a closure.
While many missing cases go under the radar, every now and again, a sensational one unfolds. That was the case when a popular Belize City resident, 49-year-old Mark Pollard, was seen for the last time. His missing case was sensational since he was well known as a principled, hardworking, and well-respected citizen. Our team sat down with his son, Malcolm Pollard, and nephew, Kenneth Mortis, to learn about Mark.
I mean, what not to say, right? I'm a very open-minded person. known by many. Generous, very lively. I mean, most of the time you would have seen my dad, he always a smile, he always a converse with many people. I could have never walked from one block to another block without somebody there, you know, yeah, Paulo. You know, they always, he couldn't go that far without people here, the hail him, right? Him and knowing that well. You know, a guy where he have certain principles, you know, he would have focused on his priorities, and whether it being his job or his kids or his personal life.
His social activities didn't just limit him to sport. It went wider than that, you know. Sport, to name basketball, that was probably his number one passion. Whether it be him being physically in a game or him coaching kids. Little did I know that some of my co-workers, or a few of them, was actually his student under the basketball coaching program. Cycling, man, he looked forward to those cycling events. He's a well-loved guy. I remember one time, he even would accompany me on a fire truck to an emergency run. You know, what, my nephew on the fire truck, let's go do a fire call. But apart from that, everybody knew him. So when that tragic day came, it was just like a shock to the community. And of course, not to mention his immediate family and then us, his extended family.
When he failed to return that gloomy day, his family was left stunned.
I get to find out the following day, after I made the knockoff from work, I get a phone call from my mom. They asked me if I hear anything about my dad. And at the time, I'm like confused, like, no, I just missed here a week ago. And then that when she informed me and told me that, oh, he just got run in the morning and he didn't return home. So they say he probably gonna do some stuff. But she may speculate a lot of different theories because he never carried wallet, he never carried phone, you know, so they made wonder like, where could he have gone?
One day, a family member outside of Belize contacted Malcolm and left a chilling message which he decided to take to the media, hoping it would lead to a breakthrough in his dad's disappearance.
So I'm warning you right now, hand over that key. So I leave my father's house, and I expect that them people already leave out that house. I'm not coming down there to argue with you. I just want you to hand over that key because I have no place to put my stuff, and you know I work with the police. So if you're not gonna win, I'm begging you right now in Jesus Christ's name, hand over that key and get rid of it. Because you cannot handle them on the property. That's why man get killed over their property, okay? That's all I'm saying to you.
When I first heard the message, of course I was like confused. I was, you know, startled because how can someone just blurt out a comment like that? The only person who could do such a thing would be someone who knows something or have something in regards to the disappearance. Me and my dad, I grew up with him up until I think it was 15 years. I had the age of 15, and that was when the separation happened between him and my mother. But every so often I would still go and visit him, still go hear him. But we never met all that close, right? And we made to work out something towards our relationship because he and my grandfather, on the other hand, they had a relationship like, you know, my grandfather could have tell you everything about my dad, and my dad could have do exactly the same about my grandfather. And that's something where we may try to work on. And, you know, for to try to cope with this for the past 3 years, still, I don't give in to it as yet. I still don't believe that he actually gone. Probably he did somewhere, trying to, stay low-key for the meanwhile, stay hidden or something, but I don't believe, it could be worse. Just imagine that this had happened to you. It had happened to one of your family members, your parents, your siblings, or any relative. They go years without knowing. That would be much appreciated if someone knew anything or if someone have, hard facts. If they could bring forth and help us trying to solve this ongoing case. I still try looking. I still, think about where I could look to see if I find any clues.
As for the perpetrators out there, I just wish that you can find it within yourselves to do the right thing, so to speak, be the unanimous tipper or the unanimous tipster that can provide this credible information so that we, the family, we, the grieving, hurting family, can put a closure to this case.
When 11-year-old Onelia Rash and 9-year-old Benjamin Rash went missing from San Marcos village in Toledo. This case rocked the close-knitted Mayan community down south and resulted in a series of confrontations, vigilante justice, and unanswered questions. Our team's scenic drive down south was clouded by the sad story we knew we would uncover as we went to visit the father, Pedro Rash, in his traditional Mayan hometown, San Marcos.
Yes, my name is Mr. Pedro Rash. No? I have 4 that is living right now and 2 that is missing. They are happy children. They are obedient children. Well, I mostly do farming. Lime and crabo, when we have a lot of crabo season, no? So we have a lot, and they usually sell it on lime. I have a lot of trees before, no? But now I don't have much.
One normal day in August 2010, Pedro Rash helped his 2 children to fill their buckets with goods to sell. On his way to work on a farm, he carted the buckets to the entrance of the village, where the children would catch a bus to travel to another community to sell their produce. Unfortunately, that was the last time Pedro saw Onelia and Benjamin.
While going from work, they have 2 buckets that they were carrying, no? So I helped them carrying the bucket and leave it by the junction. And from there, they catch the bus and I go and work. That's when they disappear, no? Yes, that's the last time that I left them by the junction there. I think that's on the 30th of August. Yeah. What I do, I see that it is late. I was waiting there at 4 o'clock by the junction too. I was waiting because I already noticed that they don't reach it. So what I do, I come home and they don't reach. I remember, I think I charter a vehicle to go from town and look for them and look around where they pass, no? And from there, I gone from police station and report the matter because I need to know where they are.
During the Rashes' expanded search, they stopped in at the residence of an American couple that did crocodile research. They wished to ask if they had seen or heard anything, but were coldly dismissed.
Yes, I remember that others, my son too, because I have the older one passing by that area. I don't remember one of the white man there. He said that they passed there and they asked about the 2 children, no? And that white man, I don't know his name, he said he don't want to hear anything. He don't want to hear anything. And they are just asking, getting information if they see any child, no? No. Okay. There is how I know that that white man have crocodile. I never know, since I was here, I never know about anything about animal crocodile there. I think that Rose Vincent, that person name.
It was reported that rumors emerged that the children's disappearance might have been connected to the Crocodile Research Center, and that angered the community. They reported it to the police, but did not feel like they were being taken seriously. That led to large demonstrations in front of the Punta Gorda police station. And then the property in question went up in flames.
This is Vincent Rose's home in the Waterhole area outside of Punta Gorda at about 10:30 yesterday morning. The house was set on fire by an angry mob who believed that Rose was somehow responsible for these two missing children, Benjamin, 9, and Onelia Rash, 11, who disappeared 17 days earlier. That is information the villagers got from an oracle and passed on to police.
Although all this time has passed, the family remains deeply traumatized. Mrs. Rash, the children's mother, is still unable to talk about her missing children. And just hearing her husband talk to us lift the scabs from her permanent bone.
Yes, my other children always remember about their brothers and sisters. Yeah. Now the two other daughters that I have, they don't want to go sell again. I don't send them much. Well, never time up to now. I don't send them. Oh, well, up to now she is not feeling good. She always sick. I think that's what happened to she, because she always think about them. Because sometimes I see she crying by herself. Well, I get used to see she crying. Well, I just leave her alone. Yeah. But sometimes what I do, sometimes we go around and other places and just for make she get happy now. Yeah. It's very hard. It's very hard.
We asked Pedro, Rashes believe deeply in their hearts that Onelia and Benjamin are still out there, and left us with a message for them.
Onelia and Benjamin, if you are still living, I am your dad. If you are still living and you're seeing me, or because I'm speaking now, well, and just keep get information to other person, and you will get to find me where I there, and just sharing keys, because I have numbers. You always remember my number, but my number here, my phone number now is different. My number today, if anything, it's 660-7367. That is my phone number. But your mom, she has a phone too. Yes, but if anything, if you're living and you know that you're getting big, and Onelia, if you are, I know you are big already. Up to now, we are still remember. Your mother is remembering you up to now.
Hello, and thanks for staying tuned in to Missing. If anyone has any information that they believe can be of assistance, we beg of you to speak up. You can send a message for them, or you can anonymously contact 922-TIPS. Missing airs at 7:30 p.m. on Mondays, live on CBTV. Until we see you again, please remember, see something, say something. You can follow us on Facebook at Colorblind Multimedia Productions for news and updates about Missing and our other shows. Do enjoy the rest of your night. Good night.